Hello and welcome to the Leadership Push podcast. My name is Joshua Clay, and tonight I'm so excited. I have a very special guest for you. His name is Coach Rod. He is the CEO and lead consultant of Impact Solutionz Consulting LLC, located in Baton Rouge, Louisiana. And tonight he's going to talk to us all about business and relationships and how faith integrates with business as well. So help me welcome to the show tonight, Coach Rod. Hey, Rod, how's it going?
It's going well. How about yourself?
Oh, it's going pretty good, man. Thanks for joining the show tonight.
Oh, you're welcome. Glad to be here. Glad to be here.
Good, man. Well, just for a few moments before we get into the deep conversation of what we want to tackle tonight, just kind of introduce yourself to the audience. Tell us a little bit about yourself and a little bit about your background.
All right, cool. My name is Rodney D. Robertson. I reside here in Baton Rouge. I've been married to my wife, Lakita, for 22 years. We got married January 29th, 1999. I spent a lot of years. I've been years in ministry, been in ministry 28 years. Of those 28 years, I've pastored for 13 years. Also in the business arena, they call me Coach Rod. I focus on two areas: real estate and relationships. So I've been, because of God, been successful at what I do. I've been a relationship coach now for 25 plus years, certified relationship coach. I like doing what I do. I like helping people. I like giving people the tools they need to win. Also, I'm an author, written a few books. You can connect with me on Instagram at Rodney D. Robertson. Keep it simple.
Well, knowing Rodney for probably now, maybe about 14 years is when we first met.
Yeah, it's been a minute. It's been a while.
It's been a while. And so we might cut up a little bit, laugh a little bit, just because of the relationship that we have. But right. What I really want to get into tonight is relationships in business, because so many times I run across people who have the drive to be successful in business, but then their family life is falling apart. Their wife is saying, oh, they're absent, they're all about their business. So let's kind of dive into that conversation. How can you be successful both at business and in your personal relationship?
Man, that's a great question. It comes with prioritizing your life, or your time, or yourself, etc. And being able to be present when you're with the family, be present when you're with the family. When you're in business, be present in business. For me, when I was younger, I'm not that young anymore, but when I was younger, I was all about the business. And my wife was like, okay, you got a wife here. So I had to learn how to make things priority. And then I had to become a great manager of myself. So often we talk about being manager of our time, but the reality is we have to learn how to be a manager of ourselves and manage ourselves. And so I had to learn how to manage myself. I had to learn how to use a schedule. Put myself on the schedule, put my wife on the schedule. Okay, I gotta have time. I'm gonna be with my wife this evening. We got dinner, block that time out. So it's about making things priority. And when something is important to you, you make it a priority. And so I believe where it works for me. And that's one thing that I always try to share with people: make things a priority.
Now, you said, you put her on your schedule. So you schedule time with your wife. So how do you keep it authentic or organic when you have the schedule in place? Because some people may say, oh, well, the schedule is nice, but then you're not really thinking about me.
Yeah, that's cool. Yeah, when I say schedule, meaning that we have already talked about, we've had a conversation. And so I know, like, okay, this Saturday, we got to attend the wedding. So that's on my schedule. Because my wife understands, you have to understand your spouse too. She understands if it's not on my schedule, I don't know it. It's just like, if it ain't on the schedule, it ain't happening. So, that's just how it is for me. If it ain't on my schedule, it ain't happening. But I'm still spontaneous. What I'm saying, I'm making sure that I'm allowing my time for her. So when I'm with her, I'm with her. I'm not with her trying to do business. I'm with her. And so I think that's what I mean by schedule. I mean, you can still be organic, you can still be spontaneous, things like that. I just make sure that, okay, my time for my wife is during this time. So when I'm with her, I need to be present in that moment. So my schedule is basically I'm managing myself. Okay, when I'm with her, I'm with her.
So how do you shut everything else down? Because of course you're sitting at the dinner table, you're on date night, and then all of a sudden now you're thinking about, oh, I could be doing this, this, and that. How do you shut that part down to really be intentional?
I tell myself it can wait, period. It can wait. I mean, it is. I mean, as you grow and become older in life, everything is not an emergency. It's not. And I mean, I set boundaries for my life and for my businesses. My clients cannot call me after 5 o'clock because why? My business hours are in at 5 o'clock. So it's about boundaries. So when I'm with my wife or I'm with my friends, even the mentees that I mentor, I'll teach them how to be present in the moment. I like, if we're out to eat dinner, put your phone down, get on social media, and engage the person in front of you. And so often we're so busy trying to be connected to everyone on social media, and we're not being connected in real life. And so, yeah, it can wait. Period. It can wait. That deal, it can wait. It can wait. I'm just, it can wait. And he said, did I get there overnight? No, I did not get there overnight. It took time that I had to learn that everything is not an emergency. It's not.
So how do you determine the difference between an emergency and something that is maybe not an emergency but can wait?
As it relates to business, I have systems set up, okay? So provide education to my clients. I got systems set up. So if they have went through those systems, then 9 times out of 10, they shouldn't have to reach out to me. However, if they have, then it has to be a legitimate reason for them reaching out to me, okay? So I believe it's very important for a business person or entrepreneur to have systems in place that they are not burnt out easily. Because when you don't have systems in place, then you have to pick up the phone every time somebody calls. You feel like you have to respond to every time, or they respond right away. No, everything's not an emergency. It's not. Some things are everything's not an emergency. However, some things are important.
Yeah. So let's dive a little bit into relationships now. Let's get to that side of it a little bit more. So, okay. Let's first deal with what are the top 3 things that creates success in relationships, and then after we deal with that, let's deal with what are the top 3 things that kind of pull relationships down.
The top 3 that strengthens a relationship.
That strengthens a relationship, yes.
Number 1 would be effective communication.
Okay.
Effective communication. You got to have that. If you're not communicating in your personal life, then you're probably having a challenge communicating in your business life. So it's very important that you have effective communication. With that being said, when you are effectively communicating, then you're making all your expectations clear. And there are no gray areas between you and your partner, your spouse. So that's number 1. Number 2, you have to be able to be consistent. Consistency.
Ouch.
Consistency. That's one thing I appreciate my wife. She tell me that. She said, one thing I appreciate about you is that you're consistent. I think that's key to success in business or relationship. You got to be consistent. If you're not consistent, then you're teaching your spouse and all your business partners in business, they cannot rely on you. So you have to be consistent. Okay, you have to have that reputation of being consistent. Number 3, you have to be open to criticism.
Okay.
Especially in relationships, because you don't know it all. You don't know it all. And you have to be open, especially with your spouse. You got to be willing to be open to their feedback concerning your life, because sometimes they see things that we don't see. And so, you have to be open to criticism. And if you're not open to criticism, then you definitely have to lead out front.
So, Coach Rod, so what if someone is having trouble with being vulnerable in front of their spouse? All right, you want them to to be open to criticism,
Mm-hmm.
but they are either have been attacked in the past, or maybe they went through different difficulties that maybe trust was broken in the relationship. How can someone be vulnerable enough to receive that criticism?
Wow, that's okay. That's a good question. First of all, that's good. That's a good question. They first of all they have to identify within themselves why do they have a challenge with being vulnerable,
Mm.
because you cannot put the responsibility on the other person yet, because 9 times out of 10 they don't know about it if they have not shared. That's why they have a challenge with being vulnerable. So the first thing they have to do is to discover why they have a challenge with being vulnerable. All right. And then once they discover why they have a challenge with being vulnerable, then the next step is I want to communicate that to my spouse. Okay, I do want to share with you, but this is the reason why I have not shared with you, or this is the reason why I find it challenging to share with you. Now, if you have a spouse that when you do share, they beat you down or they make you question your manhood or whatever it is, then you need to bring that information up, because a person cannot fix what they do not know about. So it's very important that you have that communication again. Okay, I'm going to discover why am I having this challenge with vulnerability. Then once I discover that, then I can share with my spouse, this is why I'm having a challenge with being vulnerable with you because of this issue. And now your spouse has something to work with, and able to, if they're a good spouse, they're able to work along with you to overcome that.
Mm. So if I'm dealing with a situation where,
Mm-hmm.
of course, I read somewhere, I can't give the guy credit because I can't remember his name, but it was about love and respect. So he
Yes.
was talking about how women need to be loved, men
Right.
need to feel respect in a relationship.
True.
But how can a man get about, or go about rather, showing that love when we're taught at an early age, don't express your feelings? You know, we're told to keep our feelings tight and all tucked
Yeah.
in and don't let it out. So how can we get past those barriers to where we can show our spouses the kind of love that they need to receive?
That's a very good question. We have to, number one, we have to come to a realization that men have emotions. We have emotions. You may express them differently, but we have emotions. I know in religion and traditional way of our forefathers before us, they're like, men don't cry, suck it up, suck it up. But however, men have emotions, and we too can be vulnerable. So I think one of the ways that a guy will be able to express that with his wife is that their environment must be set. You know what I'm saying? They must be able to feel safe. When a guy feels safe in an environment, then he does not have a challenge with expressing himself, because he understands that when I express myself or am vulnerable to you, then I won't be judged for being vulnerable. Then I want the guys to know, number two, that being vulnerable does not mean weakness.
Oh,
It actually
okay.
means strength, that I'm able to reveal or share parts of my life with you that I'm not when I share with anyone else.
Hmm. That's good. And something else that you made me think about is that sometimes, and I want you to speak to some women too, because
Okay.
there are times when a man is trying to be open and vulnerable and communicate, and they just pouring out their hearts. And then
Mhm.
all of a sudden, the conversation gets missed, and maybe the phone is more important in that moment, or maybe whatever they thought about during the day is more important, and then they miss that moment, that opportunity where the man is trying to be open. What
Yeah.
can you say to some women out there of recognizing some signals to recognize when a man is in that moment when they just
Well,
want
first of all, if he comes to you, that's a moment.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Because most men don't come to you. And
Mm,
when a man comes to you, he's having a moment that he's ready to share. Because men only share when they, number one, they feel safe, and number two, when they trust you. If he does not trust you, he's not going to talk to you, period.
mhm.
If he finds that you are, if he often hears you on the phone with your girlfriends or your colleagues talking about everybody in the neighborhood and the community, he's not going to share with you. He's not going to do that. So whenever your man comes to you and he's ready to share, that's your opportunity to be present in the moment. That's your opportunity to respect his time to share, because men understand love as respect. When I'm sharing with you, you're respecting my time to be vulnerable with you at that given moment.
That's good. So say that one more time. You said when a man doesn't trust a woman,
he don't share. He don't share. Wow. He won't share. Some ladies, and I want to say this to the ladies. It's the thing about a man. A man can give you his body and not give you his heart.
Oh, say that.
That's very important. A man can give you his body and not give you his heart, because why? If he don't trust you, you will never get his heart. You will never get the secrets of his heart. He may give you his body all day, 7 days a week. However, if he don't trust you, you will never get that heart. And I know Big Mama said, the way to a man's heart is through his stomach. That's a wrong answer. I don't care how good your red beans are. If he don't trust you, you're not getting his heart. And there are some women who don't even know how to cook, so that can't be the way to his heart. Men will give you their heart when they trust you. Men will share when they trust you.
Man, wow. You know what? That is spot on, Coach Rod. And so many people need to hear this, because a lot of times they wonder, they're like, man, why is that house quiet? Because something in that relationship is fractured. Now, let's go over to the other side of the coin. Okay. What are 3 things that can detract or begin to build cracks in a marriage?
Lack of communication. Effective communication builds it. Lack of communication destroys it. Because when there's a lack of communication, then assumption walks through the door. And whenever there's no communication there, assumption walks in, and now you both are now assuming stuff instead of talking about things. And then when you are assuming things, then it opens a door also for needs in the relationship to go unmet. Because why? You're not communicating what you really need out of the relationship. And what we must realize is that even in relationship, there are seasons in relationships. And there are times when what you need in the last season, you may not need in this season. When my wife and I first started marriage, she wanted me to hold her hand all the time. And I think about the 3rd year, she's like, you ain't got to hold my hand. Your hand is sweaty. I don't want you to hold my hand. I was like, I'm like, I thought she's what you wanted. She's like, I don't need that no more. So there are seasons in relationships, and people change and people evolve. And that's why you got to update them with what you need in the relationship.
That's so good. And talk more about that, because so many people, they stop at the altar. And I'm going to just use this as an example. They stop at the altar because they feel like the altar is the ultimate destination. So when we were dating, you did this, you did that, you were this way. But then when we got married, for whatever reason, somebody checked out and they stopped updating. So now 7 years later, they married to somebody that they don't even know.
Right. Yeah.
So how do we update?
We up through communication. I mean, communication is key. When things have changed in your life, you got to let your partner know that. Okay, for me, my wife and I had a conversation this about maybe 3 years ago, and so I told her, I said, well, I like flowers too. She was like, what? I was like, yeah. I said, no, I don't want them every day, but I like her. I mean, I grew up in the country. I like nature. I said, I like flowers. I said, I specifically like white roses, but I don't want them every day. But that's what I like. So she was like, oh, I didn't know that. And so she went out and bought me some white roses and had them sit in the kitchen when I came from work. So it's very important to update your spouse on what you need in the relationship and what you like, because what you like in the last season, you may not like in this season. I mean, even with the area of intimacy, it's okay if your spouse kissing you on your neck was a turn on, but now this season you like, that's nasty, I don't want that. Okay, you need to get to my ear. You know what I'm saying? It's a change. And so we have to communicate the change. Even with the systems on our on iPhones and Androids, they provide an update because something has taken place in the system that will help you run your phone more effectively. And so you must prepare your spouse an update on you emotionally, mentally, spiritually, etc., so that they can effectively be able to connect with you. If you've changed and not told them how will they know how to be able to connect with you on that level? They need to update. They gotta have an update.
That's so good, because change. I'm thinking about, I heard a conversation before, and a man said, man, I don't know why she always changing. Man, I used to get her this, I used to get her that. Now she don't like that anymore. Maybe she's seeing somebody else. And he missed the mere fact that it was a simple update.
It was an update. It was update. It was update.
Our iPhones update, right?
They update all the time.
Our computers, they update all the time.
So all the time.
Why would marriage be any different, right?
Marriage must update also, because we got, in order to maximize the potential of our marriage, we have to communicate about the updates that take place within us. So often we want the marriage to become better. Yeah. However, the marriage will never become better if the people in the marriage don't become better. There's nothing wrong with the institution. It's the people inside the institution.
So could it be that the fire went out because the updates stopped coming?
Exactly. Exactly. The update. I mean, if you're not updating, that's gonna kill the fire. Period. It's gonna kill it. Okay, like one thing. Okay, if you like, your spouse like, say, the movies or whatever. Okay, but you never want to see what she want to see. Okay, and so I know, and guys, I know, we don't always want to see our wives' movies because they like those girly movies and those Lifetime movies and stuff like that. And you're like, oh my God, another one. But anyway, because that's what she likes, then I'm willing to submit myself and meet that emotional need. And so often we have failed to realize that submission is mutual. Submission is mutual in a relationship.
Wait. So wait, I'm sorry to cut you off, but growing up in church, it always sounded like it was only the woman's job to submit. So now you're telling me that we both have to submit?
We both have to submit. We both have to submit. It's mutual. She submitted to my leadership, need of leadership, and I'm submitting to her emotional need. When the Bible talks about her being a weaker vessel, it's not that she's per se weak in strength, body, physical strength, because there are some women who are stronger than men. But emotionally, she needs that support. She needs that covering for her emotions. So we have to be able to submit to each other mutually. And that brings up, to me, submission is like an umbrella. When there's a storm or rain, you get up under the umbrella to protect you from the outside elements. Likewise, submission for a Christian couple, it protects you from the external elements that will try to come and attack the relationship, because we submit to one another.
That's so good. So let's get a little bit, and I don't want to, I don't know where my listeners are right now, but I want to go a little bit deeper into the bedroom. Can we go in the bedroom just for a little bit?
Let's go with it.
So what would you say to a couple that's struggling with a little, let's just say, spice in their life? A little excitement in the bedroom.
All right. So number one is going to start, everything's about communication. It's going to start with communication. Okay. You got to communicate what those needs are, right? So now if you guys have been married for a long period of time, things can become boring if you don't share and update your spouse about what you like, right? So it's very important that you able to communicate, say, look, and then let me say this. Intimacy, it begins in the kitchen in the daytime.
Okay.
All right? It begins with that morning kiss when you kissing her or kissing him before they need to go to work or whatever they're doing, and you rub it on their back and you tell them, have a good day. And then throughout the day, you are communicating. All right, you send text. I'm thinking about you. You send an e-card via the phone, because we have no excuses now why we cannot continue to stay connected to one another throughout the day. So now, because a woman is like a pump, she has to be primed. Okay, she has to be primed. She has to be built up. So if I'm doing that throughout the day, so when she gets home, she already understands it. It's on. You ain't got to tell her it's on. She already know it's on and popping. Okay, so this is the thing. It's very important to have communication because you must tell your spouse what you like. Whether it's a certain position, if things got boring and you keep doing the same missionary position and she's like, I'm over that, you know, you got to.
We got some church people listening.
Well, those are the ones that need help. They need help. Because divorce rate is so high among Christians, but they the one need the help. Because most of them sex like this, it's boring. It's boring. All they want to do is go to church and eat, go to restaurants. What? Okay. But anyway, so you have to communicate. You have to communicate with your spouse and let them know, this is what I like. This is what turns me, like I was saying. Now, if your partner was kissing on your neck, if they used to turn you on, but now it's a turn off, so no, I don't want you to kiss me on my neck. Kiss me on my ear, on whatever. So it's important you update your spouse about what's happening within you because they're not a psychic. They're not there to try to read your mind. Communicate with them. And then you'll see it becomes, it'll spice up. And then be spontaneous. You know, I understand that as you get older, things do change. I get that. Things change. But they got pills for kind of stuff like that if that happens. But things do change. And then you have a life, you got busy, things like that. But don't forget to be spontaneous. You know, like when you was younger, you used to take them breaks. I'm coming home. I'll be ready. I'm coming home, girl. Be ready. I don't say just be ready. Just be ready. So you got to be intentional about spicing it up. Your sex life will not spice up by itself. It won't.
Man, that's so good. And we're just cutting up and having a good time because, you know, and I'm glad we're having this conversation because truth be told, we don't talk about it enough within the Christian circles.
True.
You know,
Very
we feel like, you know, that's the conversation that you need to have at home. But so many people are, and I hate to say this, but so many people are dying at home.
Yeah.
Just wanting things to be spicier, wanting things to be more enlightening and exciting in their life.
Yeah.
But they go back to saying, well, it's okay. This is just where it's supposed to be. This is good enough. And why do we have to settle for good enough? We do not.
We do not. I agree.
We should be able to prosper in business. We should be able to prosper in our relationship. And within that relationship, we should be able to prosper in the bedroom.
I agree. Amen. Who wants a fire in the seats? Fire in the seats. And I think too, to add to that, I believe being intentional about date nights will help spice things up. Because I use the word courting, but you know, when I courted her, I dated her. We were intentional. So, but all the time, once you get married, you stop doing the things that you did to get the person. So, you know, if those date nights matter then, date nights still matter now. And so one thing we both do, we do date nights. She call them mandates. And what that means is, it's whatever I want to do, wherever I want to go. That's what we do. And so I think it's intentional that, it's vital that couples are intentional about continuously dating one another, date each other. I mean, go different places. I mean, be spontaneous, do different things. I like adventurous stuff. So now my wife is trying to get into the adventurous stuff with me. She wants to do stuff that I like. I like the zip line. I like doing stuff like that because I like kind of staying on the edge. So it's very important that you're intentional about dating one another, even after you say I do.
That's so good. And you know, the thing about, you know, being happy in a relationship is whenever you're happy at home, man, everything seems to just thrive on the outside because I don't have to, you know, my mind doesn't constantly keep going back to, oh man, what happened last night? Oh, I gotta apologize and all of this stuff. But instead you're free. So that's why it's so important for entrepreneurs, leaders, and just people in general to understand that whenever home is taken care of and it's in a good spot, everything else outside the home can be in a good spot.
True.
But I can guarantee you, if it's not right at home, it's not going to be right at business, because you're not going to be able to be 100% in any place when home is not taken care of.
Oh, You preach.
Come on now. See, you bring it out of me tonight.
I love it. But that's true, though. That's true.
So
I agree with you.
You have a book, and it's called How to Keep a Good Man. So, and of course, you wrote this to the ladies, and just go into that book a little bit and just tell the audience about it, and where can they find it too? Because I know it's a good book.
Okay, yeah. How to Keep a Good Man. It's just, I'm sharing like, I call them 5 secrets in keeping the man you love. Now that you have them, let's help you keep him. And one of the things we talk about is that men love praise. We respond to praise. And so if you want to get your man to do more around the house, you want to praise him on what he does well. And so one of the things my wife did for me back in the day was I would take out the trash. And so and then I would do the laundry. So then she would start calling me the laundry king because I do laundry so well. She said, "He's the laundry king." And that just boosts my ego. I'm like, "Oh, I'm the laundry king." What? So I did more laundry. So, so it works. I'm telling you, men respond to praise. If you praise a man, he gonna outdo himself every time. So they can find it on my website at rodneyrobertson.com. rodneyrobertson.com.
Yes, sir. Thank you so much for sharing that. And Coach Rod, we are at our time, but if you don't mind, just give us one last thought, one last idea that's on your mind that's going to help us in any endeavor that we attack in life.
I think it's very important. You was bringing it out, is that when we take care of self first, then the other things will fall in place. So often we're trying to take care of business, but the self is lacking. We're trying to take care of the homes, but the self is lacking. And you will never be there for your family or your business if you don't take care of you. So the take-home message is be intentional about self-care.
Absolutely. Well, Coach Rod, thank you so much for joining us tonight on the Leadership Push podcast. And I'm telling you, tonight I'm going to update my marriage so that I can update my business.
Hey! That's what's up. Appreciate the invite. Thanks for having me.
Yes, sir.